spiritual you need to know. It is strange how we stay connected with some people. Sometimes, they even control our emotions. This unseen bond or connect that we share in a relationship is because of the C3 chord. This C3 chord can be seen when you are romantically involved with someone. When we are involved with someone romantically, we automatically stimulate an energy cord with that person. The cord grows stronger as we start sharing our thoughts, feelings, and emotions with that person through interaction. Spiritual author Doreen Virtue describes the C3 chord as a hose that connects.
This cosmic energy flows through the energy body. It is also called This cosmic energy flows through the energy body. It is also called the etheric body. The energy body forms with more than 72,000 nadis, or energy tubes, which runs all across the body. All these energy tubes start from the top of the head region. This region is called Brahmarandra. These nadis spread throughout the body like roots and shoots of a plant. The energy body is the main base for the design of our life. This energy body is the main source of all our actions and even our existence. Our energy body receives cosmic energy during deep sleep and meditation. We are using this energy for our body and mind activities like seeing, speaking, hearing, thinking, and all physical actions. All these functions are totally based on the incoming cosmic energy. The inflow of cosmic energy is purely based on our thoughts. When we have thoughts, the inflow of cosmic energy is obstructed. In other words, our thoughts are the stumbling blocks for the inflow of cosmic energy. When the inflow of cosmic energy is less, the energy in the energy tubes depletes. This depletion causes etheric patches in the energy body. These etheric patches gradually lead to diseases in the physical body. In other words, root cause for all diseases is the lack of energy in the etheric body. In meditation, we get abundant cosmic energy. It flows through all our energy tubes of the energy body. When cosmic energy is passing through energy tubes, because of its heavy flow, it cleanses all etheric patches. When etheric patches are cleansed, we come out of all our illnesses. When energy starts flowing through the Brahmarandra, we feel heaviness in the head region or heaviness of the whole body. When energy is cleansing the energy tubes in a particular region, we may get itching sensation or pain in that region. Sometimes we may experience pain in various places in the physical body. For these pains, we need not take any medicine. All these pains will vanish by doing more meditation.
In life, because we put all these barriers there and these limitations on ourselves, and so we never really get to do them. But we also tend to have this approach in regard to the world we live in as well, and most especially when you look at the system. Because when you look at the system that controls us, we've seen this system, we've been watching this slavery system come online for so many years now, and everybody sort of thinks it's okay because it's not as bad as they thought it was going to get quite yet, and so they don't really do anything about it, when really the best action we could have taken would have been to do something about it all along. But we didn't know it was coming, so it's understandable that people didn't do anything about this very rapidly encroaching slavery system now. It was the totalitarian tiptoe for a while. It was a slowly encroaching slavery system, but it really seems to be ramping up very much in the last couple of years, folks, and it's just getting more and more in your face, no matter how you look at it. And really it's a result of us waiting till the last minute to fix things when we should be addressing problems at their root when they first manifest. But anyway, for those of you who don't really understand what I'm talking about, what I'm referring to is the 5G system and the Internet of Things, which is being rolled out right beneath our feet right now. You know, we're facing so many issues, folks, from so many different directions, but much of it is just keeping us distracted from what is being rolled out beneath our feet, which is this active denial 5G system, the Internet of Things, which is, in fact, the end game. The Internet of Things and the 5G grid is the end game of the New World Order, and it is the New World Order itself. The New World Order being the new world where everything is orderly. Everything is tracked, everything is accounted for, every move, every action, every conversation, every thought, everything people do is tracked. Independent media simply can't see what's coming. They can't see the smart grid, or maybe they can see the smart grid, but they're simply not paying attention to it. And there's been so many plays lately, there really has. On one hand, we have people sitting back, waiting for the whole QAnon phenomena to unfold, believing that the government is magically going to save them from government. In the middle of all this, we have the deletion of the Alex Jones channel, which again puts the left against the right. Corbett did a great report of how that's going, and people aren't really looking at that properly, and they're not comprehending that what it's actually about is freedom of speech. It isn't about regulation, it isn't about this, it isn't about control, it isn't about left, it isn't about hate speech, it isn't about right. It's about freedom of speech, and that's all it's about. And that's all any of this is about freedom. But that's what we've got happening on one hand, on the more academic side of things, should we say, the more philosophical side of things. And then on the other hand, we have the more conspiratorial side of the independent media, a lot of that, which is very valid as well. But on that hand, so many people seem to be stuck in tunnel vision, so many people have succumbed to the so many distractions and circular arguments and rabbit holes and different conspiracy theories we've got to unravel, and the people we've got to point the finger at. But through it all, underneath it all, the smart grid has been continuing to roll out. I've been screaming out about this loudly for the last 3-4 years, very loudly for the last 12 months since the 5G system has began to be rolled out, and many people have become very aware of it, but there still has been an overall failure to gain any focus on this smart system and the tech and the algorithms and the AI and the censorship and the social crediting and everything that's coming along with it. Many people have just been distracted by their particular theories and by their particular rabbit holes. And sure, many people have done a great job in exposing all sorts of levels of corruption in all sorts of areas, but no one's been paying any attention to the tech. And this is truly where so many of the other options break down. It really is. It's where the QAnon option breaks down completely. because people are waiting for Trump to come along and save things. They're waiting for all these pedophiles to be arrested. And even if there are mass arrests, let's say that there's a whole bunch of surface players. True freedom is the capacity for acting according to one's true character, to be altogether oneself, to be self-determined and not subject to outside coercion. And this week's opening quote comes from Corlie Lamont. Two of the most effective tools in promoting the divide and conquer strategy is coercion and inversion. And seeing the inversion is really key. As I said, everything is backwards. And the real key is in seeing that. You know, one of the most interesting things about our society is how so many people within Western society believe that they are living within a free society. But thinking about the opening quote, thinking about coercion and living a life free of coercion, I mean, do you like being coerced, ladies and gentlemen? I don't like being coerced. I don't think anybody likes being coerced into doing things that they don't want to do. And yet the so-called free societies that we live in and the system that we live within and the system that we are subject to every single day of our life, it comes with a price tag, and you must exploit that society or exploit other human beings or exploit the environment that you live in order to collect the paper you need in order to pay for the privilege of being governed by people who simply don't have yours or anybody else's best interests at heart. It's all very rational and all very sane, of course. And even if you want to make changes to this situation, so you join the political system, you find that you're coerced into complying by the rules of the political system because you have to join one of the two major parties. Of course, it is a two-party system. You can be an independent, but you really won't get anywhere. And even when you do get to a position within that two-party system, if you do not comply with the wishes of the overlords, i.e. the federal government, then they will in turn coerce you into compliance. For example, the new fund you, they'll tell people to withdraw support from you, they'll spread stories about you, all sorts of stuff, all in an attempt to coerce you into their way of thinking. And they do this simply because of the programming that they have been subject to through their lives. Because, as I said, they've been subject to coercion in all its form, in every aspect of their lives, and they simply haven't realized that that's what it is. But anything you're forced to do under threat of punishment is coercion. And if you really want to look at it a little deeper, all these forms of coercion are subtle forms of terrorism, because that's what this society bases its entire education method on. Compliance under threat of punishment. And that is terrorism. As I've said so many times on the show, the Oxford Dictionary definition of terrorism is violence or the threat of violence carried out against civilians as a means of coercion, often but not always for political reasons. And this is what our society does. This is what our education system does. It's what our business system does. It's what our social system does. And it is what social media is now doing to us as well, only, as I said, in more subtle forms. It is coercion under threat of punishment, and so therefore it is terrorism by definition. Just the fear of being locked out of a platform, fear of losing your channel, fear of losing access to certain things, being told you must comply, do not think outside the box or you will be penalized. This is terrorism, psychological coercion, making people think we homogenize everybody, and you limit human potential to an incredible degree, and you do prevent anybody from excelling, you prevent anybody from rising above the flock and expressing the genius that they may possess. It simply can't be done within the type of homogenized system the government is creating. And again, they use inversion to do this very often as well. As I mentioned last week on the show, may have been one of the reasons they limited the viewing of the show. The fact that when you come into Australia now, you may be asked to surrender your laptop and cell phone. And this is done to protect you from terrorism, to protect Australia's borders from terrorist activity, of course. This is the laws that are being used to.
The function of the mind is to create coherence between what we believe and the reality that we experience. If you believe there's a threat, signals of threat released into the blood will prepare the cells to engage in a protection response. But the problem is this: maybe there was no real threat. The cells don't know whether it's real or not because the cells only respond to the chemicals. They don't see the real environment. So all of a sudden I say, then if we believe we're under stress, we manifest stress in our physiology, even though the environment in which we live is not really promoting that. Controlling our life is not new. 2,500 years ago, the Buddha said, what we think, we become. And in fact, that is exactly the story of epigenetics today. Epigenetics is saying what you're thinking is translated into chemistry, which will determine what you will become. So, 2,500 years later, Buddha wrong are actually changing our minds. But the problem is this. Maybe there was no real threat. The cells don't know whether it's real or not because the cells only respond to the chemicals. They don't see the real environment. So all of a sudden I say, then if we believe we're under stress, we manifest stress in our physiology, even though the environment in which we live is not really promoting that. So all of a sudden we start to see that our thoughts, whether they're right or they're wrong, are actually changing our minds.
Let the loving come back to me. Woo! It's like giving birth. Oh, shit.
You tell Corey to come get some toys inside my room? The vodka?